Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, welcome back to another awesome edition of the Best Practices Show podcast. Are you thinking about transitioning out of network? Well, it has the power to change your life and your practice. Well, today we talk about the considerations that a lot of dentists don't think about with our good friend Eric Hubbard. And he's a master marketer. And today we cover a couple things that dentists don't think about when it comes to transitioning out of network. So please listen up. I hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. You know the jam here. I get to find the greatest thinkers, influencers, marketers, leaders in all of dentistry to ask them some questions so that you guys can have a better practice and a better life. And what about the considerations of going out of network from a marketer's perspective? That's where we're going today with my good friend, Eric Hubbard. Eric, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm doing so well, Kirk. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Even better now. I love taking this stuff apart with you. And you are truly one of our trusted partners. And today we're going to be talking about a heavy subject from your perspective and from ours too. And if you're a dentist listening, you're thinking, well, I got to move away from PPOs. This is an episode I want you to listen to. So Eric, first off, give us a little bio on who you are. I want everybody to know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, the dream of transitioning out of networks, the dream for all of us. How do we get paid more money to work less hours? I mean, who doesn't want that? Right. No, Andre and I started the company. Really, we were tired of working for other people and you know, kind of the programmers or the technologist equivalent of being a network is working for some big technology company. And at some point we looked around and, you know, we got a good thing going here. We should start an agency and help people like us that share our values and share who we aspire to be as human beings. And that is, I want to give back to my community. I want to help people who want to help the world. And you know, through our story, we can do that through dentistry. I think we were led here for many reasons to come into this community. You know, a dentist came into my mom's life at a point when she really needed him. And it left such a profound impact on me that when I got the opportunity to help him later in life, one client became two. And suddenly we have, you know, an agency with right around 100 accounts. And it's just a great place to be. And our goal is to come in. Most of our offices, Kirk, are aspiring fee-for-service or already fee-for-service. And this is really where we've made our niche in helping them make that transition, because there are several ramifications they need to understand and make sure that they're accounted for as they make this transition.
Yeah. And so if you guys don't know, Eric and his partner have an amazing company and they help dentists with marketing. And so we're going to be talking about the marketing side of going out of network. And let's start big picture. You know, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know we're a big fan of that, going away from PPOs. Now, I got to say this clearly. Like, you don't have to go completely out of network unless you want to. And we have plenty of our offices that do it, and not one of them fails. Not one. All of them say, I should have done this a long time ago. And, you know, we do have some offices that are all PPO. They come to us and they become 50% PPO or 25% PPO. They're on the journey to creating more value and having really more patients pay their full fee. But from your perspective, you work with a lot of very cool offices. What's the big why in this process?
It really comes down to improving the quality of your life. at its root. I mean, it's easy to say it's about money. I think that's a means to an end. It's about getting paid for the time you're spending, and really being able to care about the things you care about. And when you're in PPO and you're getting 70 cents on the dollar, things like that, you get into a lot of these financial conundrums of, if I see more patients, I'll make more money, but to see more patients, I now have to work more hours. And I'm now running 3 hygiene bays, and you start to get in. You're more likely to get into some unnatural acts when you're so heavy insurance driven that you end up not enjoying your life. And for me, that's the underlying reason that they're doing it. Is that, like we were talking on the pre-show, like, as a dentist, you're doubly impacted when you take a vacation, and that is, you're giving up all the production, and of course you're outlaying whatever the vacation costs you. And that's where so many of them suffer with such a quality of life at times, is they think that going faster, is associated with this almost manic behavior of bouncing from chair to chair. And in reality, I think slowing down is more often the solution to better P&L health across the practice.
Yeah. I think you nailed it when you said your life is just going to be better. We say this a lot. I think a lot of the reasons, if you're a dentist, you became a dentist, was the choice, freedom of choice, freedom of where to practice, how to serve people, how to pick how you want to do dentistry, who you work with, what patients, what hours, what days. And I think as PPOs come in, you have less and less control, and then you have to play by their rules. And it's kind of like your journey. You're like, I don't work for myself anymore. I work for PPOs. And you're like, that's not why I wanted you to do this. Because when and dentists have high, I would say, control freak issues, as I do, as anybody else does. I like control. I like predictability. And so I think the more that we can experience, like, oh, the day was supposed to go that way. Oh, I got paid when I was supposed to get paid. Oh, things started on time. So I think it's an important conversation. And I do want to talk, I do want to ask you about this, because we said this in the pre-show too. If you're a dentist listening and you're thinking, I can't go out of network, what do you say to somebody that says that to you, Eric?
You're limiting yourselves.
Right.
Up and down, from the most rural regions of Oklahoma down through the hills of Hill Country, Texas, to the Chicago area, to coast, I have not yet encountered a practice in the last 10 years that has, purposefully exited accepting insurance plans and gone back. And yeah, there's been some stumbles, and everyone has not been perfect, but no one has gone back, and they inevitably ended up in a better scenario. And I think that's just, not to be overly candid, I think that's the lie we tell ourselves to abdicate taking action. And it's an unfortunate belief that we need to get over. The patients, you're going to lose some patients. They're going to be the patients who aren't accepting treatment anyway. They're the patients who are coming in for the free cleaning and not accepting treatment anyway, or they're only doing it under duress, which those are not your ideal patients anyway. I mean, 20 to 25% of your patient base is generating 80% of the profit today. You are going to hang on to them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love this conversation. We could talk about this philosophically for a long time.
Oh yeah. And it is scary. It is scary. It is. Because if you look at your new patient volume, that insurance question is the biggest barrier to joining your practice. It's, do you take my insurance? Yes or no? And if you say yes, they're going to come in. If you say no, they're not coming in. It's easy. And it's actually the first real ramification that needs to happen, and it needs to happen before and during, your plan to drop insurance plan. And that's the cultural change that needs to take place at the front desk. It evolves from being an order taker of, do you take my insurance, yes or no, to, do you take my insurance? And hey, gosh, tell me why, Kirk, tell me why that's important to you. Why do you care about how much insurance we take? What are you worried about? What do you need done? Gosh, you think you need 4 or 5 teeth replaced? Man, your insurance, buddy, let me run the numbers for you and tell you what your insurance is going to do. And let me talk to you about what we can do over here. Mm-hmm. And even that conversation that's a difficult conversation to have, but slowing down the front desk, making sure that they're focused on getting under the question of why it's being asked, and getting to know the human of why Kirk is calling and why he even thinks he needs these crowns or what he thinks he needs done is the answer. And they can't do that if they're being just chipped out of this task and this task and this task. And if answering the phone is a distraction or an annoyance to the front desk, you do not have the right culture in the front desk to start exiting insurance plans.
Yeah, it's a big one. When you think about this, the whole topic of today is considerations from a big picture, maybe marketing side of things, differentiation side of things, and the evolution of this. I mean, we can think about the evolution. I've been doing this a long time, 30 years. Back in the day, and some of you that are listening, you did this. You wrote a letter and said, I'm out. And then everybody just had to deal with it. Now, there was some good in that because sometimes you told half of your patient base to go away, and now you had to learn how to communicate. And some of the time was freed up. The phone didn't ring as much, and then you got paid full fee. We don't recommend that at all nowadays. But as you start to make this transition, it is important that you engage the team in the administrative area, that the conversations have to change. It's going to become more behavioral and much more relational. And I tell everybody, I don't know if you would agree with this, because you guys actually record quite a few phone calls. We do. Like, your team has to be the best in the world at phone skills, because language matters. But what's bigger than the words are the why behind what we're doing. You have to have a team member, like I think you said it well, like who's selling the patient why they need to come here, and also has the doctor's back on why we're moving out of network. Don't you think?
I do. And selling has such a negative connotation, and it's unfortunate. I'm not used car selling. I think of selling, and it's something that you and your team do well, is that positive priming. Oh my gosh, do you know Dr. Kirk is the most patient dentist I've ever worked with? And when you come in and when you finally sit down and you talk to him about his crowns, in fact, why don't you come meet him? I can tell you're a little nervous. Why don't you just come meet Dr. Kirk? I'll pull him out into the lobby. We'll just shake hands. You can say, hey, run about your day, and you'll get to just meet him. And, you don't even need to come in for a new patient exam. Now, I know that what I would call that selling. Now, I know I'm signing my doctor up for some work, and, he's going to have, Dr. Kirk's going to have to come out and shake someone's hand. But when we say selling, I'm not talking about this high pressure sales. You could even change it. Just be curious. Just engage this prospective patient in a meaningful dialogue to get under why they even need a dentist. What are they scared of? What are they apprehensive about? What have they talked to a dentist about this before? Tell me about that. And those conversations need to be, muscle memoried and practiced by the front desk. And I think you nailed it. It's something that has to be just purposeful and just every day in huddle, you need to talk about it. Just slow down and get behind the questions. Yeah.
So that's kind of consideration number one. Let's go to consideration number two when going out of network.
Mm-hmm. Consideration number two for me is looking at the comprehensive patient experience. From the minute they touch the site or read a review or call the practice to how they're handed off to how the hygiene check goes down, to how the handoff between the hygiene and the and exiting the practice, walking them out. All of that needs to be looked at and through the eyes of the patient. And schedule an appointment for yourself and get the text messages with the alerts and look at how they look and make sure it's what you want represented as you journey through the practice. Have a cleaning by your hygienist and really pay attention to how they talk to you, and be mindful of how the team talks about each other in ear view of the patient, and even the quality of paper. If you're handing them a piece of paper, and I want a practice to step back and not just look at the most effective way to get a patient through there. I want them moving from this transactional exchange to an experiential or emotional feeling for the practice. Put a little time and energy into making sure the floor looks good and the carpet looks good, and put a fresh coat of paint on the walls, and really see it through the eyes of your patient. And I've even, candor is such a beautiful gift. Find a couple of your most candid friends. And of course, someone who owns a business in the area. And I think I say owns a business because they're most likely to come in, and ask them to come in and critique or really notate their patient journey and what they liked and didn't like. And, did they overhear anything negative of the staff talking, and how was the experience when they walked in the front door? And, do you have those old paper forms that people have to fill out? It's 2024, right? I mean, really focusing on that patient experience, to me, it's not going to be more important than the dentistry or the relationship with the doctor. But in a fee-for-service practice, those soft touches speak volumes to a patient.
Yeah, totally agree. You have before they come in, while they're there, and then after they do the treatment. And you mentioned in our pre-show just a really good system or high-class system of asking for referrals, because these patients, as you identify them, you're going to take more time. You're going to be more emotionally invested. And then there's got to be a window of asking for referrals that's a little bit different than the past. Now, first of all, can you speak to asking for referrals? Because some people really struggle with that overall, no matter where they are. And then secondly, how does that change when you go out of network from your perspective?
If you look at a PPO practice, I'm going to go to numbers and then I'm going to get into the experiential side. A PPO practice, about 70% of the patients are dentist near me, dentist in my area, random dentist sort of focused. And that's a high number. Of course, you're needing 30, 35, 40 patients maybe per provider. When you're getting into the fee for service, we like 20, 25 new patients per provider there. And obviously you're moving into from the $300 to $400, $500 a year into, $1,200, $1,300 in patient value. So you can get away with fewer patients, of course. When Kirk comes in, I need to be focused on not just the teeth, but the human being behind it. And I think the same constructs that the front desk is operating, be curious, get behind them, things like that. Like, I want to know how you're doing. I want to know what you did this summer. I want to know what you did with your kids. And then, hey, gosh, I haven't seen your wife in a while. How is she doing? Do you think we'd be a good dental home for her? Why did something happen at her last appointment? I think for me, Kirk, it's really just, man, I've repeated it so many times, slow down and be curious and focus that time and energy on understanding what is going on in their life. Is it money? She's not coming in because, buddy, listen, man, I can probably, help out on that. Now that I'm not in all these insurance plans, I have a little more flexibility on what I can do for people. And we're rolling out an in-house membership plan. And if you're not curious enough to ask and get to know the person behind the teeth, you need those referrals, because it cost us around, depending on the area, $30 to $60 in marketing spend to generate a new patient call. And I would love someday to be like, my offices convert 50% new patient calls, Kirk. And I'd be lying if I said that today. We convert around 30 on average, 30% on average. So you're getting into this cost per acquisition of potentially a couple $100 per new patient. And that's a lot of pressure to put on marketing,
right?
As a solo channel. And that's where referrals are such an important mechanism to keep your cost per acquisition down in the new patient categories. Now, this is where the third bullet point is the demonstration of excellence in is, and this is we deal in multi-channel attribution, and what multi-channel attribution is if I told you I have this great, gosh, I have this great dentist. I'll use dentistry since we're on the topic. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I think you would have just called. The behavior was you would have just called. Now you are going to go, we see it in the statistics. You are going to visit the website or check out the Google My Business profile. You are going to read the reviews. If you're, 45 to 50 or younger, you are going to check out Facebook or Instagram just to validate, because that's the closest source of truth to that age group. You are going to hit the channel across multiple attributes to research them, and then you're going to call. Now, obviously, if my wife said to call, I'm calling. But anyone else, and we see it in the numbers. We hear the calls. We listen to, 65,000 calls a month or so. And we hear people say, my friend Kirk referred me, but yet they called from a Facebook ad, or they watched a YouTube video, or things. So yes, my buddy Kirk referred me, but I'm still doing research on the practice. And that's where I want the referral to get the bulk of the credit, but the video needs some attribution of credit. The reading of the reviews and the response to the reviews needed, and the website, of course, needs it too. And if you want to charge a premium, you need to demonstrate excellence. And I love dentists. They're the salt of the earth. And the line they say is, we want to treat everyone like family. Well, that's an incredibly imprecise language, and it has nothing to do with why you're a dentist and the core values you represent. And, gosh, are you going to mission trips? How are you serving your community? What kind of man or woman are you? As you get into these relationship or experiential fee for service patients, if I have the money to pay this level, for my dentistry, I am more likely to be interested in the human being I'm dealing with on the other end too. And for me, that demonstration of excellence, you telling me how great you are is wonderful, but me watching a video of you talk about your kids and what it means for you to do, to keep up with your CE, to talk about how you take care of your team, and more importantly, to hear other people in my socioeconomic group or my peer group talking about what a great dentist you are, because that's the demonstration of excellence that needs to happen, is you telling me how great you are and how tight the margins of your crowns and all these things are. That's great. Right. But hearing from a friend that they went there and had this amazing experience, and seeing how happy they were, that's what drives the desire to go from I need a dentist to I want this dentist.
Yeah. We can talk about dentistry, but forget dentistry for a second. Those are where I get all of my, best purchases from. My buddy who went to this resort we did this. They share with you like, I did this, I did some homework. This one works great. Or even restaurants. They're like, that's right. My gosh, you got to try this new restaurant that's on the South Side. So that word of mouth has to be at a different level than, yeah, it's okay, type of a thing. So with all of these three considerations, how hard is it for a dentist listening to go, oh, I totally get this. Let me put this into play. Like, give us some type of a treatment plan, because this is big thinking, Eric, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But what else would you say?
I would say I hope you have a team.
Yeah.
I would say get your team together and have an real candid talk about what the steps look like to get there. And how is the front desk performing? And I don't love secret shopping. I don't love it. But listen to the last 30 phone calls that came into the practice to determine how the front desk is doing, and work with your CPAs and your coaches to put a financial plan together of how you're going to get there. Make sure you have a budget to make the office look nice, and paint the parking lot stripes. All the little things that you've set off and done and just maybe haven't done over the last few years, catch up on them. Take a hit in late 2024 in earning. Of course you can do it. Invest in the practice and just trust that the team of professionals around you is not going to let you fail. And to me, it's as hard and as easy as that, Kirk. I think it's about trusting the team around you and just taking those steps. Yeah, absolutely. And, I think at the end of the day, the takeaway message is you can practice however you want to practice. It isn't pre-written for you. And I love the metrics just like you do. And we say this a lot. Just to simplify this as much as possible, if you're a dentist listening, you only need really 1,200 patients to pay your full fee. And you got to make sure your fees are in the right place. Mm-hmm. And then other things to consider on top of what Eric said is, like, you got to believe dentistry, the investment in people paying for dentistry is a really amazing investment. You got to believe money spent on dentistry is one of the best investments they can make. And if you can get your arms or your brain around those things, you're going to be good for a long time. Because let's say you build a patient base of 1,200 patients and you transition the admin team from order takers to salespeople, and you create a comprehensive experience, and you ask for one more patient, per day. And you start to make sure that what they see and experience is commensurate with what they pay, because higher fee, higher expectation. That's right.
Just because you got off of insurance and now you're charged, you used to, my perception was, because I didn't understand allowable fees and write-offs, was that you charge me $700 for a crown, and now you're charging $1,400 for a crown, and you don't take my insurance. There's got to be some value that's interpreted easily for me as a patient to say, I get it. Right?
That's well said. Yeah. And it's not free fluoride or anything like that. It's that softer, make me feel special, make me feel you're in my corner. And that to me is the part missed. You're not trying to make up the delta. You're trying to give me an experience that makes me not even worry about why I might be paying additional.
Right. Now I have a curveball question. We didn't talk about this one, because I get this one too. Where do I spend the money in marketing to find fee-for-service patients? And how much does that cost? And where do I go? Is that billboards? What is that? Like, now I'm throwing you there's a little sarcasm in there, but sometimes people think they can market themselves to fee-for-service. Can you just speak to that?
So I'll deal in math, and then let's talk the softer side.
Okay.
Most of our offices, the vast majority, are spending somewhere between 3 and 6% of their collections on marketing. And that's a good, that applies, 90% of the cases we have. And anyone not in the 3 to 6% has some huge practice where there's 3 or 4 practices with the same name close together. There's some outlier of why they might be at 2% or 2.5%. but it's somewhere in three to six is what I would say a good budget for fee for service practices. Beyond that, how and where to allocate the money, that is where every practice is going to be unique. And it's based on the age of the dentist, how many patients they're currently getting referrals, how well they have referrals. So where you're starting at matters, right? If you're getting 6 or 7 referrals and you're looking for us to make up 18 patients, that's a big ask. If you're getting 20 raw patients from drive-bys and referrals and you want us to make up 8, that's pretty easy. How it's spent, I'm going to flip that question back on the dentist. This is kind of, answering this question is sort of like a patient coming in and saying, hey, I want to put, a crown on 6 and 7. Don't touch number 8, but give 9 a veneer. And you're kind of like, well, what am I going to do with this? The x-ray doesn't match what this patient just rolled out.
Right.
I'm going to start with the website. You have to have a website that looks well and is has that experience. I don't want to just say dentist near me in Milwaukee. I want to know about you. I want updated pictures. I want good text that you feel good about. The website is the storefront, and it needs to look and it needs to represent your brand well. From there, I would say you need to be up to date across your profiles. And I'm saying the Google business profile, Instagram, Facebook. And you don't need to be posting every day. That's just, I don't know. Don't get comparisons the enemy of joy. You do need to look alive there, and you need to be radiating out good information. But you also need to be responding to the reviews, both positive and negative. And
right.
Don't be scared of a negative review. I'm not responding to the person who left it. My team's responding to the next 1,000 people that come across it. Once you have that base, that nice website, good looking social media pages, good looking Google business profile, that's when we're getting into now we're talking about where to spend real advertising dollars. And you notice I'm distinguishing marketing from advertising here.
Right.
So I think that's when we're getting into, let's come out and get really quality videos of some patient testimonials. Let's make sure that we get you talking about your approach and what you tell a new patient. And 2024, more people are on YouTube TV, over the top TV stations. So we have found video very effective at getting the emotion out there of what you're accomplishing. And for me then you're getting into Google ads and some Facebook and Instagram ads and things like this. But for me, it's a pyramid. It starts with a great website, good solid online presence, good message that we can radiate out. And then you get into the, now I'm looking for Invisalign patients, or I'm looking for all on X patients, or I'm looking for, more cosmetic style once I have that done. But it tends to be a pyramid, Kirk, of how to get there.
Yeah, I love it. And then also in the pre-show, because I always love our pre-show conversations, you mentioned the word differentiation. I absolutely agree. That's really what you're talking about. And can you just speak to the importance of a dentist leaning into differentiation, whether you're in network or out of network? What really is differentiation? Sometimes people think, well, it's my education. It's my technology. Can you speak to the clarity around how important it is and what is it?
It's such a hard it's one of those easy to say, hard to do things.
That's why I gave it to you.
I know it. Thank you. To me, it's pausing for a moment on the dentistry you do and talk about why you do it. You and I have talked about core values and mission statements, and you're a big traction guy, and we've done, it doesn't have to be crazy at work, and the Netflix book is sort of where we've gone. It's going to take some work because everyone's unique, and I think a coach is powerful when it comes to it, because there is a problem in dentistry is that they do tend to become fairly myopic if they haven't worked a good social structure around them of coaches and other dentists. So I think a coach is going to help them. But differentiation in dentistry for me is about moving beyond we treat everyone like family and she's a really good dentist. Those are table stakes to stay in the game at this stage. If you weren't that, you would be working for someone else. So it's about getting to, man, we are a faith-based organization, and we are here to do God's work through this by improving the quality of lives. We are the dentist who's going to run on time, and I'm going to value your time as much as you value my time. And if I'm ever late, I'm going to find a way to make it right. We're the dentists we're the co-diagnosing dentists. Like, I'm not going to do any work on you that I can't, demonstrably show you how it's affecting your life. And any of those are viable. We're the dentist that gives back to the community. And every year we do a free dental day. It doesn't have to be this high bar. It just needs to be a good story, a real story, an authentic story. Why are you here? Why are you doing what you do? And we all like the money. I think that's an easy reason, but to continue to practice dentistry day in and day out, you have to love something about it. And what is that? Right. And what does that mean to you? And then, Kirk, I think that's where your organizations like yours come in, is helping them unwrap the language that helps them. I think we have a language problem, when it talks about differentiation. It's, gosh, I know I feel this way, but how do I use the words to describe it? And right. For me, that's what makes it hard, is we have these feelings that we need to explore and advocate, and then we need to radiate it out and be proud of it.
Love it. Buddy, I want people to know where to find out more about you, because I know people are going to want to figure out and learn more about what you do, and possibly ask for your help. But before we do, give us some final thoughts on this topic.
Any dentist who is in network today, get a team together and go for it. I bet we've seen 250 to 270, and none have gone back. And it's going to change your life in the quality of life, the time you spend with your family, and you're going to finally get to show value to the things you value. And that is your health and your life. And there's the resources are out there. Yes, it's going to be an investment in time and emotional energy, but I don't remember a conversation, Kirk, where someone went through the journey and was like, this is the worst thing I've ever done, I'm going back to insurance. Never. It never happened.
Yeah. In 30 years.
We've never lost an account over it, right? I mean, it never gotten so bad that someone's like, oh my God, I hate these guys. They steered me so wrong. It's never happened. And just, it's time.
Yeah, you can totally do it. And I agree. Those are self-limiting beliefs if you think you can't. So, and there's, what's really cool about dentistry is there's a whole world of dental professionals and communities that are willing to support you when you do make a decision on changing the course of your practice. So, brother, I love our conversations. You always get me to think. So tell us, if I'm listening, where do I go to find out more about what you do?
Gosh, Google pain-free dental marketing. Google Eric and Andre dental marketers. If we're not showing up on Google when you Google pain-free dental marketing or Eric and Andre and dental marketing, we're probably. I don't know that I hire a marketing team that you can't find on Google, Kirk. Just Google us and we'll show up. Check us out on Instagram. I think that's the best inside baseball into who we are, and talk to your coaches. One of the things that we love about working with ACT and is, man, there's something about having a team surrounding you that legitimately cares about your practice and cares about you as a human. And I wish everyone had that. I didn't have that until later in life, and I don't know how I lived without it all those years.
Yeah, I agree, brother. So thank you as always. I always love having you guys on here. And you guys, if you check them out, Pain Free Dental Marketing, you're going to love them. Great human beings, great people, and make sure you check it out. So, buddy, stick around while we say goodbye to everybody else. But thank you guys for listening to the Best Practices Show podcast. This whole podcast, everything we do, is about helping you create a better practice and a better life. And while you might not be enjoying where you're at, I'm here to tell you, and Eric is too, you can practice a different way. You just got to pick, and you won't fail. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. And keep sending us suggestions for things you guys want to see. We got them all lined up in the fall. I'm going to have Eric back again and again and again. And until we see you guys next time, or you hear from us next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy your day.